Good afternoon. Actually, I guess it's still morning time. So this is the C23 canal, and this is for the Rules Committee on concerning vegetation and debris. And I'd like to give you a video of a different perspective. So if you look here, so you see that stake right there, that is the 40-foot mark from the edge of the canal, or from the top of bank to the edge of zone 5. And zone 5 is where you're supposed to be allowed through permits to plant trees and vegetation and whatnot, so forth. And zone I think it's zone 1, which is the 5 feet, the berm. You're allowed to plant a few vegetation, grasses and shrub bushes and whatnot, so forth. And if you look here, so I planted a bunch of trees, all permitted, royal palms, got a royal poinciana and 2 yellow flowering trees. Awesome, great, it's nice and shady. But the issue is, as you will read with the attachment that I sent you, is that when you have no vegetation, you prevent wildlife from having a habitat, i.e. the osprey nest, the eagle nest, all the wildlife that uses the water as a source of food won't be able to rehabilitate because there's no trees nearby. So what I'm proposing is read the lawsuit that the person in Washington did against the Army Corps of Engineers to change their policies for berm removal. And I am a mechanical engineer, and when I reached out to the University of Florida Civil Engineering Department, they said that having trees and berm is the best thing you can have for berm stability. And that's one of the main reasons why the levees and berms failed in Louisiana, was because the grass died because they turned off the sprinkler systems, keeping the grass alive. And then the high flow rate of water eroded the grass, and then hence went the levee system. And so if you were allowed to have trees planted along the levee system that are maintenance free trees, so to speak, that don't require a lot of upkeep and maintenance, that'll actually benefit wildlife, because wildlife can put trees, can in the trees and have their nests and raise their offspring and whatnot, so forth. So for example, if you have oaks, that's not an oak, that's a Japanese orchid, but the one in front of it, oaks, are very hardy, very strong. I would not recommend palm trees because you can't really nest in a palm tree, but a very hardwood tree that can withstand hurricane winds, because obviously you don't want the debris falling into the water and doing more issues, more headaches at the lock system. But you can also do cables or nets, so to speak, that would catch the debris, and you just pull the net to the shore and with the or on the boat ramp, and then you remove the debris out of the net, then you put the net back in. That's one technique. So once again, this is my recommendation, is to allow vegetation on the berms and banks for wildlife rehabilitation, and of course, if you do a nice grass system that allows the fish to have a, so to speak, an estuary for the wildlife, then you have a good fishing population. And of course, if you promote mussels growth, freshwater mussels along the canals, then you have a much cleaner water system, because mussels filter out all the waters. So I think we really should be looking at rules that are not just lack of maintenance, but what is the ramifications of doing those rule makings, I think is really what needs to be looked at, and look at the ecology of removing the nitrogen and nitrates from the bottom of the canal. So when people put in a sprinkler system, have them put in the sprinkler system that it sucks out the bottom of the canal versus the first 2 feet of the canal. Okay, put it on the bottom of the canal, it pulls all the heavy nitrogen and nitrates and puts it back on the grass, so you don't have to keep on fertilizing. I personally did an experiment. I've got a 3-inch water line going 20 feet into the canal, all the way at the bottom of the canal. Got a 3-inch water line going all the way to my sprinkler system. Ran it for a year and a half. Real nice, lush green water. And then I just said, all right, now I'm only going to use my well water running, and I want to compare the amount of iron that was on the white picket fence and stuff. And lo and behold, it's the same amount of iron content as pulling from the C23 canal on the bottom, right on the layer, right above the layer of muck, so to speak, versus running straight well water. And my well is 120 feet deep, and same amount of iron was still being deposited on the white picket fence. So, but simple changes to that type of rule, I think, would help clean up the water systems, because there's a lot of houses up and down the canals that pull water for their irrigation, and we encourage them to pull it at the bottom of the canal. Then that helps pull the nitrogen loads out of the canal. So this is Jared Greenberg for the Rules Committee, encouraging the rules to promote vegetation in the Zone 5 and in the Zone 1 along the canal bank for promoting wildlife to inhabit the right-of-way areas along the canals that the Army Corps engineers actually own, and you wonderful guys in South Florida Water Management maintain and deal with the public. So thank you so much for your time and consideration.